Lightning strike at Mathibestad Festival in the Northwest has brought safety concerns into the spotlight. And joining us now is Professor Midgley, Director of Stellenbosch University School for Climate Studies. Thank you very much for your time, Professor Midgley. Do these events signal a very troubling trend or the beginning of the worst, since we've seen terrible weather conditions in the festive season?
Thanks for having me. And tragic events, and one's heart goes out to people affected. Well, it's very early to say whether or not we're seeing trends in this, but Southern Africa, and particularly the Highveld, is probably one of the highest lightning risk regions in the world. South Africa is struck by lightning to the ground about 25 million times a year, and around about 250 people are killed every year by lightning, roughly. And about another 10 times that are actually struck. So 2,500 people are struck every year, which means that for every 10,000 lightning strikes, somebody is struck. So that tells you there's a high risk in lightning affected areas, particularly during the summer rainfall season. So one really does need to take a lot of care to avoid being struck by lightning. It's not an insignificant risk.
Yeah, and some would say that because of the season that we're in, thunderstorms and lightning is expected. Are we seeing anything out of the ordinary during this time?
Well, we've got a particularly active rainfall year this year because of the La Nina conditions, and also because of global warming and climate change. We're getting more energetic cloud formation, and that's what really drives lightning. It's the movement of hail and water vapor, water molecules up and down in the clouds, and that's what causes the static that can finally discharge to ground and cause lightning strikes. These are very powerful electrical events, and they contain massive amounts of energy.
Yeah, this has brought into focus, issues of climate change. But let's talk about the contribution by human activities such as deforestation or even urban expansion.
Well, clearly, human activities of various kinds are contributing to climate change. But the relationship with lightning is quite a bit more local and nuanced. And you can do a lot of things to reduce lightning risk by protecting buildings against lightning, by having lightning rods. And people can avoid risk effectively. For example, getting into a motor vehicle and winding up the windows is probably one of the safest things to do. If you get into a building and shelter, don't touch a tap, because if your lightning strikes your building, you could get shocked through the tap. So avoid metal. So there are a lot of practical things you can do to avoid being struck by lightning. Unfortunately, sheltering under a tree or in a tent is not effective, and you make yourself very vulnerable if you shelter that way, sadly.
Yeah, and the event in the Northwest, some would say it was in an open space, and a number of factors could have contributed to how, the attendees of that concert were affected. But what other proactive steps can people take, given that, there are a lot of misconceptions and, superstitions about how to protect yourself during lightning and thunderstorms?
Well, lightning is a physical process. There's nothing mystical about it. You don't have to think that you can do anything special to avoid being struck by lightning. It's caused by these charged clouds. So when you see cumulus clouds, very thick clouds forming, and you're expecting hail, that's a high risk situation. Those are the sorts of clouds that can generate lightning strikes to ground. Very often the lightning resolves in the cloud. So you'll see lightning striking from the bottom to the top of the cloud, and that neutralizes the charge. But sometimes it strikes to ground. And that is not, as I say, it's not a mystical event. It occurs all over the world, mainly in the tropics. It's very well understood scientifically how it works. Lightning plays a significant role in creating nitrogen sources for plant growth. It's always been present, and yeah, there's nothing you can really do to protect yourself using sort of mythical processes. Rather just be sensible, understand the processes, and take shelter as appropriate. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, let's talk now about the warning systems that could be developed, technologies that could help communities be alert of, the potential striking of lightning.
Well, seasonal. So be aware of lightning season, which is around about now, starting in November-ish and through to March. Be aware if you see big clouds forming, very thick cumulus clouds. These are clouds that look like huge piles of cotton wool. Those are the clouds that really drive lightning. Sometimes you can sense the charge as a big cloud comes over. What happens is the negative charge underneath the cloud causes the earth to become positively charged. And there are certain signs you can see, particularly if you've got long hair, it can float upwards. That's a sign that you're in real danger. But so under those circumstances, rather avoid being outside. Get inside a building, get into a car, wind up the windows, and you'll be safe.
Professor Guy Midgley is the director of Stellenbosch University's School for Climate Studies. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, talking to us about that all-important conversation that's got many communities worried. 2 people dying in the northwest after being struck by lightning. All right, still to come, China and Iran are calling for the release of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. We'll have that story and more when we return.